Hi, Paul from Contemporary Synth here. In these tutorials, we explore the technical and artistic capabilities of the Roland Fantom workstation. Last time, we looked at a song called Live in the Light, and we created a new setting for it where we moved it from 70-ish beats per minute up to 100-ish beats per minute, and we played the refrain and found some cool tones to add to it. Today, we're going to add the verse, and then I'm going to show you a new way to perform it live that might work for particular live settings. So let's get right into it. This is the pattern I had from last time. You can still hear it. So there it is. I'm going to start with adding percussion for the verse. I've been really struggling with getting the drums in line with the metronome, and I've been reading about it, and I see that that's a kind of a common problem. Let me give you some tips and things you can try to make that easier. One is to turn up the metronome. You can do that in the system settings where the click is. This is what it sounds like by default. You can turn it up a little bit, and you can try different sounds. I like the cowbell, so I'll leave it there for now. That helps a little, maybe. One of the other things that I have discovered is that the beat on the downbeat is not enough. So I'll show you a way to subdivide that in a minute. But another thing you can do is do the cymbals in one take, and then you switch new to mix, and then you can do the drums in another take. A lot of folks are doing that, splitting it up, and they find that easier. Again, what I find easiest is using the pattern recorder to subdivide the beat, and then you don't have to interpolate as much on your own, and I'll show you what I mean. So if I take a good metronome sound like this, and I go to the pattern recorder, and I make it every other beat instead, or every half beat instead of just the downbeats, that gets a little easier. Let me show you something else interesting here. If you're on the pattern, if I hit play right now, I'm going to get the whole schmear. But if I hit shift play, I only get the pattern I was looking at. When I go to record, it's going to play all of them, so I need to deactivate those so they don't play when I go to record my pattern B. You can either long press on each one, or if you just tap the B, because I have a pattern there. If I had nothing, I couldn't do that, but since I already have that there, I can. So now I have something in addition to the metronome that I think will make recording easier. And I'm going to go into this spot, see if I can make it work. My verse is 9 measures long because there's an extra measure for the fill. I want weight note. All right, I have a love-hate relationship with this quantizer. I really feel like we need to use it, and I really feel like we need to get good at using it, but it just messes up my drum tracks every time I do. So I'm going to turn it way down, but leave it on, and I recommend you do the same. And as we get better, we'll be able to turn that up more. Of course, as we're able to turn it up more, we'll need it less and less, but I think that it's a journey we can't give up on. Okay, that all looks right, and I have weight note selected. And let's see what we can do here. Three, 4. Here's my fill. All right, I'll turn the click down for a second, and you can take a look at how you did. That line with the green line are my snares, and those should be right on the downbeat. And, you know, some of them are close and some of them aren't. But I think the quantizer helps. Okay, I'll turn this back up. Now it's time for the bass. Like last time, I have a bass pattern that I've worked out. I'll go back to 9, leave it on weight note. I'll leave the quantizer on. I'm going to slow it down to 90-ish so I can get a better probability of getting it right. And I'm going to turn it up so I can hear it. 2, 3, 4. Minor, G minor, minor, B flat, E minor, D minor, A flat, G. All right, I do not want to leave this pattern recorder where it is, so let's do some work there. I had this metronome on, and I'm going to turn them all off. What I am going to do is change the length to 2, and I have some notes on what I want to add. I want to add low tom, and I'm not going to hit it hard because that gets annoying. Maybe a medium hit on 1 and 13. To get to measure 2, you can tap over there, and I want 13 over here. You can also do shift back and forth. The shifting is super handy. Like if I push my length up, they're all there. If that's pretty handy for jumping around if you're going to do it a lot. For my high tom, I want some upbeats there, and then I want a downbeat here. Beats, I want 711, and on pattern 2, measure 2, I want 111. And I want to put some shaker in. On the refrain, I have the shaker as a 16 beat pattern. Here, I'll just do it 8. And I'm going to hit it each time to get more human feel. I don't know if I'll do that forever, but seems to be some value to it. Let's get that going. Shift so I don't hear everything. I also wanted a block. I don't want a bossa nova feeling, but I do want some upbeats. In the refrain, last time I had a bright hand clap. I'm going to keep with that motif, but they have a duller hand clap here that I can use. So I will put that second pattern on beat 4. So you hear it every other time. 2, 3. So that's kind of fun. So far I have. Okay, let's add the horns. The horns played the whole time in the refrain. I'm going to have them only come in on the second half of the verse. 9, I'll put my tempo back up. And because they come in the second half, I'll just start it. 2, 2, they come in on measure 5 on an F minor chord. F minor, G minor, A flat, B flat, D minor, B minor, A flat, G. All right, the only other track I need here is a piano track, and it's not because it's missing, it's because I'm not able to play it when I operate all the switches live. And believe me, I learned that the hard way. So I'll put this in, and it sacrifices a little bit of the live feel when you play it, but I think it's a fair compromise. Measure 9. All right, here we go. Here we go again. F minor, D minor, A flat, B flat, D minor, D minor, A flat. All right, and that's all I'm going to put on the verse. The only other, I want to add one more pattern for the final note, and we've done that on some earlier tutorials too. I'll show you another way to do a piece of it. For the drums, I'll go to the pattern recorder, and all I need is a kick and a crash. So that's not hard. I am going to make the length 4 measures, and I'll explain why in a minute. For the pattern recorder track, I don't need anything. For the bass, I need a whole note. Now, if I use the pattern recorder, I'm only going to get a strike. I'm not going to get any sustain. So now I need to go to the step recorder where I can actually enter the note's duration. Again, all I want is a C. If I do it now, I'll get an 8th note. That's a triplet. That's a dotted 8th note. I want a whole note. So I go past all these until I get here. You'll notice if I hit that, it only goes 80% of the whole note duration, and that's because of the gate time. I'll step back and set the gate time to 100%, and now I get a whole note. Let me do the same with the horns. The horns will be playing, and if they just drop out, that won't sound right. So I want a whole note from them too. Set the gate time to 100%. Set their note there. What you'll see is that, and it's probably hard to read on the screen, but the drum pattern is 4 measures and these guys are only 1. So I could have added rests in the step recorder. Instead, I'll go to the piano roll and just roll that out to 4. Edit 4. So what you're going to hear is notes for 1 beat. You're going to hear the whole thing. So that's why I have here 2, 3, 4, rest. Now it rests for a long time. The reason I want to do that, you'll see when I use the pads to play the groups don't stop. They'll just keep looping. So this is the end of the song. I need to have some silence, which will give me time to stop it. Okay. I have the 3 entities that I want, a refrain, a verse, and the last note. Let's put those in groups. I'll start with A. Grouping, set. Now, ordinarily, you would set this to group 1. I'm going to use the pads to play this, and what I found is if you set the group that you're reaching for over here and you try to do it live, you have a probability of hitting these other pads, and if you hit them, the music stops, and that is awful. So I'm going to put them in 13, 14, and 15 because that's a closer reach. Set. So that's my refrain. I could name it, but I'm not going to see the names anymore, so I won't do that now. I'll leave that as an exercise for the student. Here's my verse. So that's going to go into group 14. That's it. And now here's my last note. Grouping 15. Set. I now have 3 groups. Now you will see that each is 1 measure long. So that's an unusual feature of the keyboard. I'm going to go to group 13 and set this to 8 because that's how long the refrain is. Go to group 14, set that to 9 because that's how long the verse is. And I'll go to 15 and push that out 4 for my last note. You can't see it here, but I now have the 3 groups to perform this song. All right, the magic happens in pad mode. It's not intuitive when you want keyboard switch group or when you want group play, and I'll just show you them both quickly. Switch group is where you can select zones that you want to hear based on the pad that you hit. And what's interesting is you can edit this, and then when you go in to edit an individual group, you can change which zones you hear. So if I set it to 1, 3, and 5, then I exit, you'll see 2, 3, and 4 are the same, but now 1 shows you 1, 3, and 5. Okay? Very cool. Not what we want today. I am going to reset that. What we want today is the other one. And when I set that, here's 13, 14, and 15. And looking at my patterns, 13 starts the first pattern. That starts the second. And 15 starts. 15 plays the last note. You'll notice that they cue, which is super handy. This wouldn't be usable if they didn't cue like that. So I'm ready to do it. This is great if you are afraid of commitment and you don't want to lock your pattern into a song. And that is very appropriate to my live situation where sometimes I have to play a song until somebody gets to where they're going or a line goes down. I have to keep, the songs all have more verses than we'll ever play. And we keep going back and forth between refrain and verses until either the song's done and we need another one or whatever's happening finishes. So this would be perfect that you can alternate between them. All right, let's play it and see how it sounds. So I'm going to start with my piano up. I'm also going to turn the EQ on for the piano. What that allows me to do is get a little extra gain, just a little more volume when there's a lot going on. So I'm going to turn that up and then turn this down. This is my lead that I'm not going to need when the song starts. And this is my electric keyboard, which I will play later. These are the horns, and we'll have those come in through the first verse, and I'll leave the percussion up for now. Yeah, levels seem about okay. Let's see what we get. What else am I forgetting? Tempo's good? Yeah, it's good. All right, so I'm going to start playing, and we're going to hit this to get started on our verse. Let your love be a light for our days and a fire to keep us warm in the night. Let your love be a guide on our way. May we learn to always live in the light. When I'm alone, when I lose my way, yours is the hand I can hold on to. When I was fallen, you lifted me up. I was weak, Lord, and you pulled me through. Let your love be a light for our days and a fire to keep us warm in the night. Let your love be a guide on our way. May we learn to always live in the light. When I'm afraid of doing what is right, when you're the one who will help me, when I am stifled by fear and regret, your compassion and strength set me free. Our day and a fire to keep us warm in the night. Let your love be a guide on our way. May we learn to always live in the light. Stop. Well, there you go. That's fun, and I've probably played that 50 times getting ready for this video. It's super fun, but it does take some practice to get those switches right, but you can do it. It's fun. That's why we have these, right? Well, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you learned something, and if you did, please consider subscribing, and I'll keep making more. Next time, we're going to look at some synth drums and see if we can make some beats that sound a little more modern than what we've been doing so far. I'll see you then.